Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Jo here with SportsGrid. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X, as well as on YouTube. Now, please tell me you trusted in the Minnesota Wild yesterday and grabbed them as basically a $2 dog versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Minnesota Wild able to come out and win that game 5-2. Kaprizov looked unstoppable out there on the ice. And if you did not see his pass on, the assist on Boldy's goal, go back and watch it because it was phenomenal. He put it right on the stick and just put it through the air straight on Boldy's stick, and Boldy was able to score. So great matchups yesterday out there on the ice. The Ottawa Senators did come to play. They pushed that game to overtime versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Max Domi able to get the Leafs the win in OT. Brady Tkachuk looked great out there. And Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk looked phenomenal for the Florida Panthers out there on the ice yesterday. He was able to get us to 2+ points, the anytime goal. Didn't get the goal in the first period, which was too bad. But if you took him for the anytime goal at plus 240, the 2+ points at plus, I think it was basically 340, you would have been fine because we did put a third of the unit on the first period goal at plus 850, but we made plus money across the page. Now, the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey wasn't able to come close to covering that puck line, losing that one 3-1. The Carolina Hurricanes playing a nice solid game, but we did get the under in that. So great action out there on the ice. Surprising that we did see an over between the Wild and Vegas, but glad we got the Minnesota Wild on that money line, on the money line for the win. So good morning to each and every one of you. Great to see you here today. And I'm glad, Mo, that you cashed with the Wild with me. So let's jump into today's matchups. 3 games out there on the ice, you guys. And which dog is barking? It's hard for me to really look at a dog that would be barking other than the Montreal Canadiens. So we're going to get into this game here first. But I do think the favorites with the home teams in Colorado and the LA Kings will be away. We've got to bet those 2 later games. But this first one here, Montreal versus the Washington Capitals. Looking at the odds right now, the Capitals are a minus 182 favorite. We have a total of 5.5 in this one, plus 106 to the under. The book's expecting this to go over that 5.5. It's minus 130 to the over. And you could see that 4-2 situation because of an empty netter. I think this is another tight battle. 3-2 final score for one of these teams. So I will take it under the 5.5. We have to just keep our fingers crossed that's not an empty netter. And I look at Montreal to come out strong. Looking at that last game, the Montreal Canadiens looked dead in the water in the first couple of periods, right? They actually started getting their feet out and under them in that third period, gaining their confidence out there when they were able to get that goal on the board. So I'm looking at a team that never gives up. The Montreal Canadiens are a dangerous team because no one thinks they're going to get past the first round. When you've got a team that no one thinks they're going to be able to do it, it does add a little bit of fire and less pressure. The Washington Capitals rolling in here, one of the best teams all season in the league, have all of the pressure on them. And Ovi, well, he stood up with that pressure in the last game. He came out so strong. There's no doubting what Ovi is able to do. We also saw the physicality of the Washington Capitals. They're looking to wear down the Montreal Canadiens, which is a great game plan. We know the Washington Capitals have the size. They have the power out there over a young Montreal Canadiens team that really doesn't have a size advantage in this matchup. Look for the Washington Capitals to continue to lay those hits out in this game. 42 hits in the last game by the Washington Capitals. The Montreal Canadiens returned 33. That forecheck was vicious, and you're going to see the forecheck all over. Players like Lane Hudson out there, all over that blue line. Lane Hudson, a smaller defenseman out there. You're going to see the players like Ovi all over them. So this is going to be interesting to see what Montreal can do in game 2. When we look at game 1, I just want to break down a couple of the players and what they're able to do before we jump into what I'm expecting in this first matchup. So Ovi, like I said, he was involved in all 3 of those goals. He had 2 goals and 1 assist. We know he was able to get that OT goal to win it for them. When we look at Dylan Strome, he had 3 assists, and Tom Wilson had an assist. When we look at the Montreal Canadiens, Nick Suzuki was able to get 1 goal. He did put 7 shots on goal on Logan Thompson. So he came out nice and strong getting those shots. Lane Hudson had the 2 assists, 0 shots on goal, and Patrick Laine, 5 shots on goal. Now, I do think Cole Caulfield played a fantastic game. He got rocked a couple times out there by Ovi on the ice. Never seen him really take hits and falls like that. Cole Caulfield coming out with 1 goal and 5 shots on goal. He now has 6 points in the last 4 games versus the Washington Capitals. So he definitely will be someone we circle today. When we look at that last matchup, who won the faceoffs is so important to me because it does dictate who is controlling that puck out there. And it was the Montreal Canadiens, which was surprising to see. They won 52.6% of those faceoffs. They went 1 and 2 on the power play, and the Capitals answered back 1 and 2 on the power play as well. The shots on goal, Montreal did have more attempts on goal with 35 shots on goal versus 32 for the Capitals. So coming into this one, I am looking for Montreal to have that confidence under their belt in the first period. I would look at Montreal to come out on the money line in the first period. I do think is worth a shot. Now, I do think it's a lower scoring first period as these goaltenders are strong. So the money line, we have the risk of pushing, but I do think if Montreal is able to net one in the back of the net in the first period, taking them on the money line, you're going to get great plus money. I also like the under 1.5 because I think it's either Montreal scores a goal or we just roll into the second period 0-0. So I'm looking for that defensive battle in this game. I don't like a high scoring one. I'll take the under 1.5 coming in at -102. If you want to take a chance on Montreal in that first period, I do think they need to come out. They need to get a goal in this first period to have a chance of winning it. They need to set the tone in this game versus the Washington Capitals team and build off the momentum that they were able to have going into OT. Now that overtime ended so quick for the Montreal Canadiens. It was like it was over before they even got started out there on the ice. Look for them to bring that urgency into this first period and really pepper Logan Thompson. We know the Capitals, and this is something we bet in the first game. The Washington Capitals start off kind of slow sometimes on their home ice. They also haven't been able to pull wins together as favorites. So if you did want to fade them just because of that and take Montreal for the full game, looking to take this one back to Montreal, tied 1-1 apiece, I won't be shocked if that does happen, you guys, but I'm looking for Montreal first period to be able to win it in a 1-0 first period. So I know taking the under 1.5 in Montreal in the first period, I'll put a half a unit on both. I want that plus money in the first period. And then this game, under 5.5 coming in at +104. I love the plus money to the under. And it still does have every opportunity of going to overtime. We have seen in that last game it go to overtime, the overtime bet +330. I might hold off on that a little bit, but I do think if we're getting more value as the day goes on, I would be looking at that overtime bet. And the Capitals team total, it's just too high for me. I think Sam Montembeault proved to us in that last game that he really can come out strong. Some of his saves were absolutely stunning out there on the ice. And I do think the Caps total is too high. Now, the problem is it's too juiced. Under 3.5 goals. For the Washington Capitals, it would have to be a parlay piece for me. It's coming in at -145. But if this is a game where you see the Caps go up 2-0 into that second period, then like if they get a goal in the first, goal in the second, I'll be coming back in on Montreal. This is a team that never gives up. They've had the most third period comebacks in the whole league this season, scoring twice in the last 10 minutes of the game in game one to send it to overtime. You can never count them out. And like I said, a dangerous team is a team that no one expects to be able to take a series. So look for Montreal to come out fast in the first period, 1-0 first period, under 1.5 to hit that plus money on Montreal for a half a unit in the first period on the money line. This game to stay under 5.5 goals with an overtime bet if we start to get more value. It's +330 right now. Ultimately, I want a +375 for that overtime. Now, if you're looking at who I think will get the points on the board for the Montreal Canadiens, you got to look at Cole Caulfield again and Nick Suzuki. Parlay them both together for their point tonight. Will get you great plus money. Let's move on to the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. Let's make some freaking money today. Good to see you here this morning. The Dallas Stars versus Colorado. Game 3. You guys were already at game 3 in this series. Now this series is split. We saw Colorado win game 1 in Dallas. They won that 5-1. Game 2, they lost in OT. We're riding the Avs team total over 3.5. It did not cash, even though we had 3 goals. It seemed so early in that game out of Colorado. Dallas was able to get the overtime win 4-3. Looking at this series coming back to Colorado, we got to check out those odds first, and then let's get into what we saw in game 1 and 2, and then where we're going to go with the bets for this one. So the Dallas Stars, a large dog at plus 158, and I love plus money on a dog. I just can't get behind the Dallas Stars coming into Colorado for this matchup. We know it's hard for teams to play in Colorado because of the thin air there. It's minus 192 here for Colorado on that money line, a total of 6.5. The juice to that total is on the under 6.5 at minus 120. I'm very cautious with that because I think that we could see another game where Colorado scores 5 goals in this matchup like they did in game 1. So I'm going to stay off the full game total. If you're looking for a total, I would be the team total. So let's firstly look at what we've seen out of the goaltending in these series and what we saw in that power play. So in game 2, the power play conversion, we did see the Dallas Stars go 1-4 on the power play. The Avs gave them lots of opportunities out there. The Avs themselves went 1-3 on the power play. So both teams converted once on the power play, but both teams had more than enough opportunities to be able to convert. So the kills have been coming out solid, only giving up 1 power play goal in the last game. Now, when we look at who owned that faceoff, it was the Colorado Avalanche owning the faceoff in game 2, 54.4% of the time. I do think in this one, we've got to look here really hard at Colorado and what Mackenzie Blackwood has been able to do at home. Mackenzie Blackwood on the season has a .913 save percentage, a 2.33 goals against average. He's 22-12-3. I love his numbers at home, versus the Dallas Stars. He's got a .913 save percentage. I love his ability to come out nice and strong. So I first looked at the Dallas Stars team total. Team total's 2.5, you guys. If we take the Dallas Stars team total under 2.5, it's coming in at minus 126. I really do think they struggled to score in game 3 here in Colorado. So I think it's going to be a lot to ask them to have 3 goals in this game, especially with Colorado really stepping up. Now, if you don't want to look at Dallas's team total, which, at a minus 126, am I getting enough value on it? Not really. I want to find another way to bet this game. Jake Ottinger versus Colorado, that save percentage is at .892, you guys, in his last 6 games versus them. And he hasn't looked great going into the playoffs. So I'm going to fade Jake Ottinger here. I'm going to go right back to Colorado's team total. Colorado's team total at 3.5 is minus 116 the over. So when I'm looking at Dallas to the under or Colorado to the over, we're getting better value on Colorado to the over, and I do feel confident that they will get 4 goals. If you want to play both of those bets, I don't blame you at all. I do think this could be a 4-2 win for the Colorado Avalanche or a 5-2 win for the Colorado Avalanche. Either way, both of those team totals are hitting. Now, another thing I'm going to look at is Gabriel Landeskog back in the lineup tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. This team is going to be vibing something crazy out there on the ice, and I do think this is a great game to look at the puck line, look at the first period puck line, look for Colorado to dominate from start to finish in this game. Could we get an alt puck line win? It's not out of the question with Jake Ottinger's numbers versus Colorado and Colorado on home ice. I do think this game will be very, very similar to game 1. So give me Colorado to come out fast to start this game, hot and fast out of the gate in the first period on that puck line, laying a half a goal. It's coming in at plus 132. I freaking love it, you guys. I'm looking for Colorado to have that hot start. Now, in game 1, we did see that feeling out. In Dallas, we saw 0-0 going into the second. Not what we expected. We rode the over 1.5 and both teams to score. That didn't come to play. But in game 2, the over 1.5 and both teams to score did come to play. I do think this is one where I wouldn't take both teams to score. I'd just take Colorado on that puck line. Now, I talked about the over 3.5 here for the Colorado Avalanche. They've won 12 of their past 15 games on home ice, with 10 of those wins coming by at least 2 goals. So I do think Colorado in this game can cover that puck line. If you're looking at the puck line bet here for the Colorado Avalanche, currently -1.5 at +130. So I will be in on the puck line, first period puck line, and then who am I going to look to be able to light the lamp? Now, Nathan MacKinnon for the anytime goal, it's so not a great value bet. It's coming in at +110, but Nate Dogg is going to come out nice and strong, light that lamp tonight. So I do think, look at Nathan MacKinnon, look at Cale Makar for the assist, that's -122. Gabriel Landeskog back in this lineup. Give me him for the anytime goal at +290. Now, I wanted to look at Gabriel Landeskog, and if you can get him on your book for 2+ points, that is definitely where I'd go in this matchup. The problem is FanDuel will not give it to me. So if you're able to get it, definitely look at Landeskog for 2+ points. And if you're able to get it, let me know what value you're getting on him for 2+ points. I can't even get him for a point, but I would look at Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Landeskog for big nights. But we know the playmakers are up and down this lineup. Martin Necas, Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson's been pretty quiet so far in the playoffs, but look for these playmakers to come out to play. Valeri Nichushkin as well. So I think there's a lot of players you can look at to be able to go off for the Colorado Avalanche. Valeri Nichushkin coming in at +190 for the anytime goal. The line is starting to move on Nathan MacKinnon. It was +110. Good 30 minutes ago, now +105. So get your bet in on Nathan MacKinnon for that goal if you like it as soon as possible. So Gabriel Landeskog coming in at +290. No movement on that, and Cale Makar at +280. I do think you could see that power play points coming in for Colorado. I think this is a statement win for the Colorado Avalanche. Now, we know Mikko Rantanen back in the building here in Colorado. He should be able to play solid. Now, we look at the Dallas Stars, and these players haven't had the time that Mikko Rantanen has had playing in Colorado since he was with Colorado, even to start the season. So look at Mikko Rantanen here to be able to be impactful for the Dallas Stars. So if you want to take something on Mikko Rantanen, I would look at Mikko Rantanen for his point tonight. His power play point coming in at +200. His anytime point at -140. The anytime point is pretty juicy, but you could see that power play conversion out of Mikko Rantanen. So I don't hate that, but all of my best bets will be here on Colorado. Let's make some frickin' dough is right. Good morning, Hal. Good to see you here today. Okay, that's where we're going with that game. That's going to be a fantastic one. Let's just hope Colorado can make us some great money on those puck lines. Okay, let's jump into the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. I tell you, if you didn't watch the overtime game between Dallas and Colorado in game 2, and you didn't watch this game, the Edmonton Oilers versus the LA Kings the other night, you missed out on some good freaking hockey. Now, I had both TVs going, both of these games on at the same time, and we were in like that do or die situation in the third period for the LA Kings, and then we were in overtime for the Avs and Dallas, and it felt like Christmas, you guys, but my eyes could not watch both games at the same time, so I was going back and forth, and you know how quick that puck moves out there on the ice. It was absolutely nuts. It was definitely overstimulation out there on the ice, but fantastic games. So watch these games tonight. You won't be disappointed. Now, the Edmonton Oilers in game 1 did take the loss. We saw the LA Kings win at 6-5. If you just look at that box score, it looks like it was a super competitive game, right? But it wasn't. You look going into that third period, it looked like the LA Kings were going to just easily win it in the third. And if you went to bed and woke up the next day, you would have been thinking, what the heck happened out there? We saw the Edmonton Oilers put up 4 goals in the third period. And yeah, this was a 6-5 win by the LA Kings. So they came into that third period with 1 goal. And the LA Kings still were able to get the win, thankfully, because you guys, we were riding with the Kings in game 1. So game 1 finished 6-5. With the Kings scoring that 6th goal with 42 basic seconds on the frickin' clock to get the win right after Edmonton had tied up the game. It was insanity. So hopefully tonight's game proves just as fun to watch out there, but it's an easier win for the LA Kings because I tell you, they need to take this back to Edmonton up 2-0. So looking at game 1, looking at how it played out, you guys, 6-5 was not the recipe that I thought would result in a LA Kings win. If you would have told me this game went 6-5 in game one, who I would have thought was the winner if I didn't watch the game, I would have clearly thought it was Edmonton. Edmonton's such a strong offensive team versus the LA Kings team that can lock down on the defensive side of things. So this game has to be that lower scoring game if the Kings want to pull out that win. Darcy Kuemper needs to do what Darcy Kuemper did for the first and second period, which was stop the Edmonton Oilers, as well as the defense here of the LA Kings. They have to take away the middle of the ice and not allow Connor McDavid to be Connor McJesus out there on the ice, because that is what we saw in that third period. So looking at the game as a whole, Edmonton actually controlled those faceoffs, which is a scary situation. They won 52.3% of the faceoffs. The Kings need to clean that up. They cannot allow Edmonton to control the puck. They went 0-2 on the power play, though. Edmonton has a deadly power play. So if the LA Kings were able to hold them to 0-2 on that power play, their defense needs to do that again. We saw the LA Kings convert twice on the power play. So for Edmonton, they need to clean up their kill because it was 2 of 5. So still, they did a better job than I would have expected, because that kill can be sketchy at points, but they can't allow the Kings to score twice just from power play goals. When we look at the physicality, Edmonton was a more physical team, 42 hits versus 30 for the LA Kings, 30 shots on goal for the Kings, and Edmonton was held to 25 shots on net. It was a solid performance out of both of these goaltenders. Stuart Skinner in net for the Edmonton Oilers, and people are bagging on him, but I don't think so. You look, it was 30 shots on his goal. The high danger shots were just flying in, and I don't have as much faith in Skinner, but I do think I have enough faith in Skinner to keep this game under today. And Darcy Kuemper, I absolutely love what he brings to the table, especially on home ice. Looking at his home ice goals against average, it's a 1.67, a save percentage of 933. So look for Kuemper to do enough between the pipes as well as Skinner for this to be a lower scoring game today. Which goaltender do I have more faith in will result in how I'm going to bet this game, though. So looking at the odds one more time in this game, before we get to that bet, the LA Kings are the money line favorite at -128. The Edmonton Oilers at +106 on that money line. Total 5.5 +104 to the under, -128 to the over. I'm afraid of an empty netter in this game, as I do think this is a 3-2 style game. And if we get that empty netter, it goes 4-2. I do think the Kings would be the 3-2 or 4-2 winner here. I'll take the Kings on the money line at -128. Do I love it? No, I hate laying juice, you guys, but I do think this is a favorite that I want to back at -128. I do think another way to go in this to get plus money is to fade the Oilers team total. And I know after what we saw in game one, where Edmonton was able to get 5 goals, but remember, 4 goals came in the third period. We saw the breakdown of the defense and the goaltending in the third period by the LA Kings. The LA Kings have to play a full 60 minutes and neutralize Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl for the third period again. And then we can see this team total of the Edmonton Oilers stay under. Yes, under 2.5 goals here for the Edmonton Oilers at +108 is my favorite bet of this game. Now, we will have goalie props on Darcy Kuemper coming out. Let's just see if they have them out as of yet. And they do, you guys. Darcy Kuemper over 24.5 save shots on goal. Okay, this is a scary number, right? Because the LA Kings held the Edmonton Oilers to 25 shots in the last game. Will we see Edmonton with that extra push? I do think so. I'm expecting Edmonton to put at least 27 shots on Darcy Kuemper tonight in this game. If they put 27 shots on goal, stay under 2.5 goals, we have cash Darcy Kuemper for his save shots on goal. I will be taking him over the 24.5 save shots on goal. No numbers yet for Skinner. Now, Darcy Kuemper to save first X plus shots he faces. Interesting bet here. I haven't seen this, and I'm just going to look at it with you guys. So Darcy Kuemper to save the first blank shots he faces. Darcy Kuemper to save the first 10 shots he faces coming in at +105. That means the Edmonton Oilers probably don't score in that first period. I don't hate that, you guys. I do think this has to be a game in which the Kings locked down, especially in that first period. We saw Edmonton really work their way back into it. Now, this is kind of scary as well, because we know Edmonton loves to come out full barrels in the first, but I do think this has to be that defensive battle. So if you want to take Darcy Kuemper to stop the first 10 shots he faces on his net at plus 105. Definitely worth a shot. If we go up to 15 plus, that's coming in at plus 200, 20 plus at plus 350. Ultimately, where would I find the most comfort in this bet? It would be the 10 plus at plus 105. The 15 plus, it's getting kind of hairy because that would take us probably into that second period for 15 plus. And I do think Edmonton probably scores again in the second here. How fast will they come out in the second period is the biggest question mark. So if you like playing that market, that's where you're going to go. Alt saves for Darcy Kuemper, I am not going to touch because I think this is very tight to that number. So it should be a great matchup between these two teams, you guys. Again, I'll take the Oilers team total under 2.5 at plus 108. I will also look here for the LA Kings at minus 128 on the money line to get the win. And Darcy Kuemper over 24.5 save shots on goal. This is going to come so tight to that. When I look at the LA Kings, what they're able to do in the first game, had Kuzmenko. He had a power play goal. He had 1 goal and 2 assists. Kuzmenko's being so pivotal for this LA Kings team. I love him added to this lineup. We also had Byfield. You guys, Byfield has to continue to step up. He adds a depth for this team. 1 goal and 1 assist in the last game. I'm looking for another big night out of Byfield. Byfield for the point tonight, I'm definitely going to hit on, as well as Kuzmenko for the point. If you want to parlay them together, great plus money. You had Kempe in that last game get 1 goal and 2 assists. Donat had the game time winner. He had 2 goals overall. He was fantastic out there on the ice. And Fiala, 1 goal and 1 assist. Kopitar just for the assist. I do think all of these playmakers have every ability to get things done. They went 2 and 5 on that power play. So if you want to look at the power play to convert again, for the LA Kings, I do think they have every ability to at least get 1 power play goal in this game. And this is also why I don't want to touch the full game total, because I could see the Kings scoring 4 goals. It's either a 3-1, 3-2 win for the LA Kings, or it's a 4-2 win for the LA Kings. So staying off that total today, when we look at what Connor McDavid was able to do, they have to neutralize him out here. He had 4 points in game 1, 1 goal and 3 assists. They need to lock down Connor McDavid. 100 points on the season, 26 goals, 74 assists. Connor McDavid will be the player that they're going to smother tonight out there on the ice, not allowing him an inch. They'll be heavy forechecking, backchecking for or against Connor McDavid. When we look at Leon Draisaitl, we knew he was going to score in that last game. He got a set goal. He got a set plus money. He had 2 points with a goal and an assist. Janmark actually got on the board, as well as Zach Hyman. Interesting to see these players like Zach Hyman getting back from the IR, you guys, just in time for the playoffs. It's such a game in the NHL. And then Corey Perry did get a goal, and Corey Perry's actually been really stepping up for Edmonton. So I do think the pushback for Edmonton was too little, too late. They thought they had it in the bag. They're tying that up, thinking they were able to force overtime, and they didn't. And I think that will be kind of defeating for this team. So look for the LA Kings to take this series back to Edmonton 2-0, and then the Edmonton Oilers probably pick up a win on their home ice. But I do think this is such a great series between these two. Kuzmenko for the point at minus 110 is an absolute freaking steal. That is for sure. Yeah, it is crazy what they were able to do. And let's make some freaking money, you guys. So time for the recap. It's amazing how we can talk 3 games in 28 minutes. I could talk for 5 hours. You guys know that on just these 3 games tonight. But make sure you join me back here tomorrow for another Puck It with Jo. Thursday, April 24th, will feature 4 games. We will see the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning in game 2. That will be your first game of the night. Then Toronto going into Ontario up 2-0 will be 7 p.m. Eastern puck drop. The Vegas Golden Knights will return into Minnesota, with Minnesota and Vegas tied 1-1 apiece. And Minnesota right now, a nice barking home dog. You guys, grab Minnesota right now, plus 130. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. And then the Winnipeg Jets take on the St. Louis Blues. Another home dog in the St. Louis Blues. Not sure they have as much dog in the fight as the Minnesota Wild do. So those are tomorrow's games. Let's get into today's recap. 3 games on deck today. The first game, the puck dropping at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Montreal Canadiens versus the Washington Capitals. I'm going to look at this game for Montreal to build off the momentum, even though they lost in that last game. build on that momentum in the first period. I'm going to put a half unit on the first period under 1.5, expecting only one goal, and the other half a unit on Montreal on the money line for that plus money in the first period. Now, I do like the Capitals team total for the full game under 3.5, as I think this is a 3-2 win for either of these teams. I like how Montreal played in that third period in that last game. And I do think if they can build off that momentum, they have every ability to win this in a low scoring game. You can never count them out. This is a live betting game in which if we see the Washington Capitals come out as strong as they did in the last game and go up first, that I'm coming back in on the Montreal Canadiens plus 1.5 on the puck line, as I do think it has the opportunity of being that one goal game. And I will sprinkle on that money line, as I do think they have the ability to win this. Now, Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki for the point parlay together. And then, Ovi for another point for the Washington Capitals if you just want to put all three of them in a parlay. Looking at the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche, I don't even think this one is close tonight. Going big on the Colorado Avalanche first period to make a statement right out of the gate. First period puck line laying a half a goal coming in at plus 132. I'll then look at the full game on the puck line minus 1.5 goals at plus 130. And I do think this is almost worth an alt sprinkle laying 2.5 goals. Gabriel Landeskog back in the lineup for Colorado. Colorado fans must be just so excited to see him finally back with this team. I'd look at Colorado's team total over 3.5 goals at minus 116. You can't trust Jake Ottinger between the pipes for Dallas, especially the first game here on the road in Colorado. If you really want a playmaker for the Dallas Stars, got to look at Mikko Rantanen. He's used to playing at this altitude, so he should be able to net one tonight, at least put up a point. But I think Dallas's team total under 2.5 is going to stick. It's kind of juicy at minus 126. I do like the Avs team total over 3.5 better than I do like Dallas's under. Nathan MacKinnon for the anytime goal now plus 105. We're starting to lose value on that. Cale Makar for the assist is minus 122. Gabriel Landeskog to hit the back of the net coming in at plus 290. The Edmonton Oilers versus the LA Kings. Give me the Oilers team total. Yes, their team total under 2.5. I know it's scary to see, especially when we saw, looking just at the box score, 6-5 game in the last game. Look for the LA Kings to play the third period, how they played the first and the second in that last game. In the last game, they did allow Edmonton to get back in it in the third before shutting it down. But the Oilers team total under 2.5 goals plus 108. I'm going to look for the Kings to win it straight up on the money line. And I'm going to look for Quinton Byfield to have another strong day out there on the ice, looking at his points, looking at Kuzmenko's points as well. For Edmonton, I'm not going to be riding any player props in this one, but I will look at Darcy Kemper for his safe shots on goal over 24.5 safe shots on goal. It's going to be a crazy one for Minnesota. I would sprinkle on it right away before those lines do move. Vegas had no answer for Kaprizov and Matt Boldy out there last night. Yes, multi-point games. It has to be any Colorado player out there. Gabriel Landeskog, I do think gets multi-points in this first game out. I would look at him. I also think Nathan MacKinnon. How can you deny Nathan MacKinnon out there on the ice? Valeri Nichushkin been kind of quiet during the playoffs. I'd look at Valeri Nichushkin too. And then let's look at the LA Kings. Byfield. I've got to roll with Quinton Byfield to get 2 points again. You're going to get so much value with Quinton Byfield. He had a goal and an assist in that last game. I talked about this young forward and how he really needs to step up for the playoffs. We would really see what we've got in him. And I do think the LA Kings have a great young forward in him, and he's going to be able to rack up those points again tonight. So you guys, that is it for Puck It with Jo here on SportsGrid TV on X. I hope to see you guys back here tomorrow again. 4 great games on deck tomorrow. Enjoy these games tonight. I can hardly wait. Now, also make sure you join me later today on Game Time Decisions, as I'll be guesting. Oh, excuse me, I had a hiccup. Guesting there with Joe Ranieri. So make sure you do join me then. But until then, you guys, all the best in all your bets. Let's make some freaking money. I'll see you back here tomorrow, noon Eastern, on SportsGrid TV on X for another Puck It with Jo. You guys, all the best.